I covered already, and that was the unity thing. But I always want to keep in mind, what is it we're supposed to be aiming for ultimately? And that is quality relationships. And I mentioned that all through this program today. I hope I keep emphasizing that. And that is every relationship, every time you interact with somebody, whether it's white or non-white, try to make that interaction constructive. Ask yourself, even while you're talking to someone, is this conversation constructive? Because if it isn't, it's time to stop that conversation. It's time to say, well, I have to go now. I have something else to do, and I will see you later. I will talk to you some other time. And break off the conversation if the conversation is leading to something non-constructive. Because a lot of what we do throughout the day has to do with conversation. Conversation is how we learn things. Always try to learn something constructive in every conversation that you have. Either you're telling somebody something that's going to have a constructive effect, or someone is telling you something that's going to have a constructive effect. And you know what's constructive after you try it a little bit or really think about it and keep asking yourself that question. Constructive, non-constructive. Constructive, non-constructive. Constructive, non-constructive. Sometimes we just have to repeat the same things to ourselves over and over and over again, because that's how basically we learn, because that's how we've been taught to learn, by rote. And so we can teach ourselves. We can train ourselves rather than wait to be trained, like the white supremacists will always train us like they train their dogs, which is how they treat us like dogs, or worse. They treat their dogs better than they treat non-white people. Truth be told, many of them. You're talking about leading a dog's life. A lot of people in the system of white supremacy, particularly white people, really think more of their dogs than they think of any black person that ever lived. And they'll practically tell you that if they'll tell you the truth. Some of them who are listening to this program right now might chuckle at that one because they know it's true. I had a cousin that got out of the military, and he went back to Arkansas, which is where he was from. And while he was still wearing his uniform, he walked up to someone because he was glad to be back from World War II in the South Pacific. Fighting for quote-unquote democracy. And so he just asked one of the local people, a white man, he said, well, how are things? And he said, same thing, white man first, dog next, Negro last, only he didn't say Negro.